Every August, Irish speakers use a name containing an echo of Ireland's pre-Christian past. The Irish name for the month is Lúnasa. Hidden inside the name is Lugh, warrior, king, master craftsman, and one of the most remarkable figures in Irish mythology. But who was Lugh? Why did the ancient Irish celebrate a festival bearing his name? And how did the story of a supernatural warrior survive in the modern Irish calendar? The English word August comes from the Roman Emperor Augustus. The Irish name Lughnasa has a completely different origin. It developed from Lughnasa, the great seasonal gathering traditionally held around the beginning of August. Lugh belonged to the Tuatha Dé Danann, the supernatural people found throughout Ireland's mythical cycle. He is sometimes casually described as an Irish sun god, but the surviving medieval stories present a far more complex character. Lugh was a warrior, a rightful ruler, and the master of numerous arts. One of his best-known titles was Samdalach, meaning someone equally skilled in many arts. That reputation is explained in the story of his arrival at Tara. When Lugh approached the royal residence, the gatekeeper asked what skill he could offer the king. Lugh said that he was a builder, but Tara already had one. He offered his services as a smith, a champion, a harpist, a poet, a historian, a sorcerer, and a craftsman. Each time, the gatekeeper replied that someone at Tara already possessed that ability. Finally, Lugh asked one decisive question. Did Tara have a single person who possessed all those skills together? It did not. The gatekeeper admitted him, and Lugh entered Tara not merely as another craftsman, but as the master of every art. His arrival came at a dangerous time for the Tuatha Dé Danann. They were threatened and oppressed by the Fomorians, and other supernatural people portrayed in the stories as destructive and demanding powers. Lugh possessed ancestry from both sides. His father Cian belonged to the Tuatha Dé Danann, while his mother, Tailtiu, was the daughter of the terrifying Fomorian leader Balor. This made Balor Lugh's own grandfather. Balor possessed a poisonous eye that was normally kept closed. When its lid was raised on the battlefield, its destructive power overwhelmed anyone standing before it. As conflict approached, Lugh did not rely solely upon his own strength. He questioned the smiths, healers, craftsmen, warriors, and magical figures among the Tuatha Dé Danann. He asked what particular ability each could contribute to the coming battle. Lugh's greatest strength was not simply that he could fight. It was that he understood how different skills could work together. The two forces eventually met at the Second Battle of Mag Tuired. During the fighting, Balor killed Nuada, king of the Tuatha Dé Danann. Then Balor's enormous eyelid began to rise, exposing the terrible eye beneath it. Before its full power could be directed against his people, Lugh launched a stone from his sling. The stone struck Balor's eye and drove it through the back of his head. The eye then faced towards the Fomorian army, turning its destructive force upon Balor's own followers. Balor fell, and the Fomorians were defeated. Lugh had destroyed his grandfather and delivered the Tuatha Dé Danann from their enemies. The stories established him as a great warrior and leader, but Lugh's name became connected with August through a very different relationship. According to medieval Irish tradition, Tailtiu was Lugh's foster mother. She was said to have cleared the plains of Briga for agriculture. The exhausting labour eventually caused her death, but before dying, she asked the people gathered there in her memory. Lugh established a funeral assembly and games in her honour at Tailtiu, present-day Tailtown in County Meath. This gathering became associated with Lughnasa. It was not intended as a period of silent mourning. People assembled for athletic contests, horse racing, feasting, trading, music, and the making of arrangements. Later tradition also associated the gatherings with matchmaking and the celebration of the harvest's first fruits. Lughnasa marked an important turning point in the year. Summer was beginning to fade, crops were approaching harvest, and communities could finally discover whether the work of previous months would provide enough food for the difficult seasons ahead. Gatherings took place on hills, beside lakes, and at other traditional assembly sites. As Ireland became Christian, many of these customs did not disappear completely. They changed. Early August gatherings survived under names such as Garland Sunday, Bilberry Sunday, and Mountain Sunday. Pilgrimages, fairs, and communal celebrations continued at many locations, even when their original mythological meanings had been forgotten or reinterpreted. The old stories also remained in medieval manuscripts. Lugh survived as the many skilled visitors who earned admission to Tara, the warrior who defeated Balor of the Evil Eye, and the supernatural father associated with Ireland's greatest hero, Cuchulainn. Most visibly of all, his name survived in the calendar. Lúnasa remains the Irish name for August. That does not prove that Lugh was a historical king or that the battles attributed to him actually happened. These are mythological traditions preserved by generations of storytellers and medieval writers. But myths can preserve something other than literal history. They reveal what earlier societies admired: courage, intelligence, craftsmanship, rightful leadership, loyalty, and the ability to unite an entire community. Every time the month of Lunasa arrives, the name of the many skilled warriors is spoken once again. Lugh may belong to mythology, but his name never completely left Ireland. Had you heard the connection between Lugh and the Irish name for August? Tell us in the comments and subscribe to Ireland Remembered for more stories from Irish history, mythology, and folklore.